Now in the middle of one of the most significant eras in automotive, Carl Anthony amplifies the minds and voices behind this historic transformation as the host of AutoVision News Radio.
Mic check 1 2.
All while coming to terms with middle age, father loss, and what it means to be successful in Detroit.
In September 2021, the Detroit News published a number of historical photos in a piece titled The Detroit Auto Show Through the Years. A few favorites are the Nash automobiles on display in 1929 and the Oldsmobile exhibit from 1968, where a middle-aged man is smoking a cigarette indoors as he admires a 5.7-liter diesel V8. And then there's the phone booth mobile from the 1970 Detroit Auto Show, which looks like a giant Hot Wheels car. Little did they probably know in 1970 that we would have Bluetooth integration one day, and all of our vehicles could technically be considered a rolling phone booth with heated seats. Unlikely could they have predicted an innovation that would expand on AM and FM radio and include a station called 70s on 7, where all the music that would shape their generation for the next decade would be archived in one place and include replays of American Top 40 with Casey Kasem, a Detroit native who long ago inspired the voice you're hearing now. In its reflection piece, the Detroit News has a photo of the Lexus LF LC concept revealed during the 2012 North American International Auto Show. 4 years later, in January 2016, Lexus returned to NAIS to unveil the LC500, the production version of the concept and the first to use the automaker's then-new GLA global architecture. The rear-wheel drive platform would quickly become known for its structural stiffness. When the LC debuted, it was the strongest high-strength steel unibody Lexus had ever built, with torsional rigidity and twist resistance capabilities beyond those of the LFA supercar. During the 2026 Detroit Auto Show, held between January 14th and the 25th, I was able to walk the show floor at the Huntington Place and spend some time with a few vehicles I think are pretty cool. Join me now for an audio tour of the 2026 Detroit Auto Show.
Moving at the speed of mobility, this is AutoVision News Radio with Carl Anthony in Detroit, Michigan.
Tires on the floor in a big way here at the 2026 Detroit Auto Show with the return of Camp Jeep, where attendees can ride along in their favorite Jeep as professional drivers navigate a course accented by a hill ascent and descent section that is 23 feet tall and stands at a 45-degree angle. They're climbing it now. Since the debut of Camp Jeep in 2004, nearly 3 million have experienced the interactive off-road exhibit, and we will add the attendees here at the Detroit Auto Show to that running tally. On average, Camp Jeep is a 30,000 square foot exhibit that comprises 140 cubic yards of dirt and hardwood mulch, 50 tons of boulders, and 20 pine trees that range anywhere from 12 to 16 feet tall. In my dream garage, I still have room for a Jeep Gladiator. Here comes a Wrangler Rubicon. This isn't bad either. I'd take this. You know, yeah, I love that audio, man. Okay, so maybe I switch it and I go for the Wrangler Rubicon over the Gladiator. So my Jeep Gladiator, the reason why I love it, when you're outdoors or you're part of an event like this at the Detroit Auto Show where you've got Camp Jeep, you can see things like the Gladiator's approach and departure angles in action at 44.7 and 26 degrees respectively, a breakover angle of nearly 21 degrees, and 11.6 inches of ground clearance. So a Jeep Gladiator on industry days with nearly 12 inches of ground clearance, it's easy to get underneath and take a photo. The 2026 Honda Prelude here on the show floor at the Huntington Place is a sharp-looking car. Meteorite gray metallic is the color, and if you're a sports car enthusiast, this is your machine here. The 2026 Prelude is the first Honda to pair its two-motor hybrid electric powertrain with chassis hardware from the Civic Type R. Honda's two-motor hybrid system does not rely on a traditional transmission or CVT. quoting Honda, rather than use a torque converter and multiple gear ratios or mechanical pulleys and drive belt, drive force from the traction motor is sent to the wheels directly through a fixed ratio, while engine power is blended through a simple lockup clutch. This form of drive force transfer offers smooth and predictable acceleration from the traction motor, matched with efficient low RPM highway cruising when the gasoline engine is in operation. That gasoline engine Honda is referring to is a 2-liter Atkins cycle unit with direct injection. Combined total output is 200 horsepower and 232 pound-feet of torque. As for the hardware from the Civic Type R, that includes the dual-access strut front suspension, wider front and rear tracks, and larger brakes. If you're feeling really wild with your Honda Prelude, go for the two-tone model and get yourself a black roof and mirrors. This GMC Hummer EV SUV 2X has turned heads today. A beautiful hue called Solar Orange was introduced in 2025, so it was new last year. This one here that I'm standing in front of at the 2026 Detroit Auto Show, this one is Solar Orange. And under the lights, it looks like a combination of red and orange. It looks awesome. Looks like a Transformer. Like I could see this being in a new Transformers movie. This bright monster is new for 2026 with King Crab mode, which would also be kind of cool to see in a Transformers movie. When you activate King Crab mode, the rear wheels are going to turn faster than the front wheels to aid overall maneuverability when you're off-roading. King Crab is part of a multi-tier steering and handling package. That's not officially like what GMC says. That's just like the name I made up, multi-tier steering and handling. But it's what I call it, and it helps me kind of understand this GMC Hummer EV SUV a little bit more. So the way I kind of explain it is that you start with the four-wheel steering, and that's going to happen at speeds of less than 25 miles per hour. And the rear wheels are going to turn in the opposite direction than of the front tires. And that just offers you greater maneuverability when you're trying to park or, in and out of the garage or places like that, parking garage like down here, downtown Detroit. So the four-wheel steering is really useful for that. Now at higher speeds, like when you're driving back home from the Detroit Auto Show, the front and rear wheels are going to turn in the same direction when you're on a road like I-94 or M10. So at higher speeds, front and rear wheels turning in the same direction. This is going to improve the stability of a bigger vehicle like a GMC Hummer EV SUV. And that's also going to help with lane changes as well, and then wider turns too. Now, building on that is the standard crab walk feature. And what that is that's a four-wheel steering mode that basically gives a diagonal drive functionality at lower speeds. So think of like a crab kind of scooting across the sand. That's what the standard crab walk does for the GMC Hummer EV SUV. The King Crab mode, that's the one that's at the very top of the mountain then, if you will. So four-wheel steering, crab walk, and then King Crab mode. And then again, that's the one where the rear wheels are going to turn faster than the front wheels. And a video from GMC actually shows this in action. So you can see aerial shots of the Hummer EV. It's turning complete circles like in the snow, or it's doing like a sideways like figure eight or like an infinity sign. That's the King Crab mode. So it takes the four-wheel steering in the standard crab mode, basically just turns it up a notch. As described by GMC, new vehicle features like King Crab are made possible through hardware and software all working together with vehicle integration to seamlessly showcase everything an all-electric vehicle can be, with a new feature that off-roaders want. Like the Honda Prelude, the 2026 Subaru BRZ here at the Detroit Auto Show will make you fall in love with sports cars all over again. and it's affordable as far as fun cars go, with a starting MSRP under $36,000. The standard 2.4-liter Boxer engine, a Subaru Signature, generates 228 horsepower, which is sent to the rear wheels for the BRZ. Also standard is a 6-speed manual transmission with a Torsen limited slip differential. The limited model, limited trim level, here at the Huntington Place has 18-inch matte gray alloy wheels with Michelin Pilot Sport 4 summer tires. So I collect radar detectors. I have for a few years now, from all different brands: Escort, Cobra, Uniden, Redenzo. And I don't drive fast, I don't speed, so it's not that. But I just enjoy the technology that comprises a radar detector. Like, for example, the difference between detection and filtering capabilities. So how a radar detector determines the difference between a K-band radar band or a Ka band. And if you have things like a dual antenna platform, a radar detector with 2 antennas, which would be front and rear mounted, that gives you directional alert arrows on the display, so you can tell where is that radar signal coming from. Is it coming from in front of you or from behind you? And then newer radar detectors today implement digital signal processing, like the Blackfin DSP from Analog Devices. Escort uses that for their top-tier radar detectors. Cedar Electronics is the parent company of Escort, but Escort uses the Blackfin DSP to help with false alert filtering, to keep those false alerts down as you're driving. So all of that stuff just fascinates me, and if you ever want to chat about radar detectors, send me a message over LinkedIn and we will definitely talk. But what I would do with this Subaru BRZ here at the Detroit Auto Show is I would put one of my radar detectors up in the window, I would pair it with an app, I would grab a coffee, and I would go for a drive. I don't know where I go. I have no idea. Maybe down to Cedar Point, do Millennium Force and Steel Vengeance and Top Thrill 2. But with the BRZ being rear-wheel drive, I'd have to wait until the summer anyway. I couldn't drive it today because it just started snowing a little while ago here in the Motor City. The 2026 Subaru BRZ here at the Detroit Auto Show. The Kia K4 hatchback has arrived. Like the K4 sedan, the front-wheel drive hatchback is standard with a 2-liter engine with 147 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque, matched with Kia's IVT or intelligent variable transmission. GT line turbo models have a 1.6-liter turbo with 190 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. That engine is paired to an 8-speed automatic. Kia has spent a good deal of time on the K4 hatchback's interior layout and connectivity features. So inside the multi-screen layout, that spans nearly 30 inches of interior real estate. That multi-screen layout, that collective system, includes a 12.3-inch instrument display, a 12.3-inch infotainment touchscreen, and a 5-inch climate control display. Buyers who want to really maximize all of this interior connectivity can consider the available digital features and services, which is through the Kia Connect store. One such feature is a generative AI voice assistant, which owners can use to access the climate and the audio settings. The enhanced voice recognition feature can even answer questions about the owner's manual, suggest places to visit, like the Detroit Auto Show, and play voice-activated games. Before the 2026 Detroit Auto Show, I had the opportunity to share the digital airwaves here on AutoVision News Radio with Sam Clement, Executive Director of the Detroit Auto Dealers Association and the Detroit Auto Show. Sam and I are old school radio guys, so we spend the first part of the episode talking about some of the radio stations that we worked at after college. Sam shared more about his tenure as president and CEO of the Michigan Association of Broadcasters and how those experiences helped him to eventually helm the Detroit Auto Show. So I will leave a link in the show notes to that episode with Sam. Thank you, as always, for listening and for your support. From the Huntington Place in downtown Detroit for the 2026 Detroit Auto Show, I'm Carl Anthony, AutoVision News Radio.